Hi, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. As you can see, I have my paper pumpkin. I was on the phone with one of my friends, and so I went out to get the mail, and I'm like, oh, my paper pumpkin's here. And I said I should have checked my mail just a little bit ago because I was way into, those of you that are in the cabin class, I'm putting the finishing touches on those projects. So that stuff's laying on my desk. So I just moved it out of the way because I love to get the paper pumpkin up as soon as I get it. Otherwise, sometimes it sits there and then I forget, and then I still do them, but I often don't make a video because y'all have done yours by then. So I like to do it the day I get it when I can. Before I get going, here is one of the cabin cards. This isn't one of the class, but you can see I have embossing on it, as does the class. This has black embossing powder. And then this is the one that I just did last. So both of these tutorials are up on my YouTube channel. This one also has embossing on it. I embossed with the clear. So because that's still on my desk, we're going to throw a little bit of embossing into today's paper pumpkin. But you can go check out both of these. Both of these bundles are available free as part of your starter kit. You can pick one bundle. A starter kit with Stampin' Up! Costs $99. So if you just want to get all of your future paper pumpkins at a discount, or if you want to make a little bit of side money, or you want to try to do it as a job, right now the starter kit is $99 as always. Free shipping, just tax for wherever you live. But then you also get to pick one of the featured bundles from the holiday catalog to go in it at no cost. So that's about $50, $60 savings. And both of these are part of that. When you're on my team, then you get all of my online classes free as well, because that's one of the perks of being on my team. There's so many perks. So if you're interested, you can go to my website. You can check that out. But this box, you can see I have it half opened. The box itself is pretty. This was designed by Shelly, the founder and starter, the gal who started all the Stampin' Up. It's one of her kits. So I knew I would like it because her style tends to be very similar to mine. But the box itself is designed, and there's decorations in here. I'll show you in a second. So you can fill this box with cards and then give it as a gift. So they made the box super pretty. So let's take a look at what comes in it. So here's the stamps. Super fun. You're going to see a bunch of these. I haven't taken them off yet because, like I said, I just got it from my mailbox, and it came up here, and I just kind of moved the cabin stuff out of the way. But I'm going to, if you're doing my cabin class, then you're going to get to see some ways to use some of the other stuff that's in your cabin class, because that's what we're going to do for here. So I haven't mounted those yet, but then look how pretty, and you know, the infamous glue dots. Look how pretty the envelopes are. So there's 3 different kinds. All of them super pretty. If you have lots of plain envelopes, you can always take your envelopes apart, because this would give you quite a lot of paper to work with if you'd rather have them for paper, because they're really pretty. Then there's this, and at first I thought, well, I'm going to put that on a card, but the cards are in my head. I haven't done them yet, so I don't think I'm going to need them, but look how much fun those are. Then there's some white cardstock. There's some punch out words, some more of the blended kind, some that looks like it has some splatters, and look at all these little butterflies that you get. Super cute. And then the cards, there's this card front, and that doesn't go with that. I can tell from just a quick look at the instructions. These really cute cards, look, this lays over the top. This all punches out, so it's smaller, and then it's an overlay for that. Super cute. Again, if you'd rather, you can use the white side. You could also use this for a stencil, which it did occur to me that maybe I would use it for a stencil. I'm fairly certain, if I wasn't doing my class, I would do this for you, but I'm fairly certain that you could use this side for the stencil, and it would still be okay then to flip back this way, because look at all the colors. As long as you stick with colors that are kind of in this, use this stencil side. Once you're done with that as a stencil, flip it back over and still use it as intended on the card. And then here is the little band that you can wrap around the box, the top, so it covers up the word paper pumpkin. Another card in there. Somewhere are the giant butterflies. Here. This is what, look how fabulous this is. So, and again, if you don't want to cover your box, great stencils. Because these would be some super fun stencils. And if these aren't your colors, I do love these colors, but if they're not your colors, flip them over and use them white, or color them the color that you want them to be. But so this goes on top, these go on top of there, and then your box is fully decorated. Then it has Blackberry Bliss. And then I can tell I'm gonna love this ribbon, and I'm gonna wish that we could buy spools of it, because it looks like the ribbon that we had recently discontinued that I used all the time. So look how fun this is. So it's blackberry linen, but it always reminds me that you're at the beach and you have on your beach pants, and this is the little drawstring. That's what this ribbon reminds me of. And then these super fun sequins. Love these sequins. So they've got a hint of papaya, petal pink, and some of our purples on them. And I'm going to stick those on my card. So let's get going. Now I am going to not use anything in the kit, I don't think. I'm going to show you what to do once you've used all this. So you have, I'm going to use, well, I said anything out of the kit. I'm not going to use the paper supplies. I am just going to use cardstock and the stamps, because you know you have your stamps for a whole lot longer than what your cards will last. Yeah. So let's do this one first. I have one embossing and one not. So I had Blackberry Bliss, and the funny thing is when I just did this card right here, when I did this video, I said, because I have a free mini class with this month, that if you buy the Sweet Blackberry is a must in colored cardstock, that you're going to have Blackberry. And I still had some on my table because it's just beautiful. So let's take this. Let's mount my stamps. I'll fast forward this part so you don't have to watch it. You know what? I changed my mind. I am going to do the other one first, because I'm going to stamp clear on it, and then that way I don't have to worry about it. So for this one, I'm going to use our Stamparatus. So if you don't have this, because you mostly do paper pumpkins, the great thing about this is you don't need any blocks, because if you have this, it does your stamping for you. So for this card, I have a half a sheet of white and a quarter sheet of white that's cut a little bit smaller. It's a little bit less than 4 and almost a little, just a tad over 5. So it's not quite the standard. I wanted a little bit more of the other to show. So the way you use the Stamparatus, let's stick our paper in here. It has a magnet. I'm going to stick this up towards the top, and this just holds everything in place. And then you decide where you want to put your stamps. So I'm going to do a butterfly here. And then I'm going to do the words that say, this is why I'm using my Stamparatus, where there is, and we'll move these around once we get them all on here. Where there is hope. I have it wrong. It says where there's faith. Okay, I didn't have it wrong. I couldn't remember what the word said because I just got it out of my mailbox. So you want to put these on here. So where there is hope, there is faith. So I have them on here. I'm going to move my butterfly up a little bit. And then it's always, you want them a little bit closer than what you think you do, because when you're looking at a stamp, there's that space in between. Do it like that. Then I'm going to put my butterfly. That ribbon's kind of fat, so let's move these up. That way we'll make sure we have room for that fat ribbon. If you have thinner ribbon, you could leave it here. So I'm going to do it like that. So once you have it all where you want it, then you just take your door and you shut it. Make sure you grab them all. And this is why you have your paper where you need it to be. And you know that first time you use these photopolymer stamps, they're sticky. Now I'm going to take my Versamark pad, which is here because of my class. And there go some of the cards from my class falling over. So ink these up, and this is just clear ink. If you don't have Versamark, there's a ton of things you can do with it. But for this purpose, we're just gonna emboss it. And this is clear. So I wanna make sure I get it inked really well. Make sure my card's straight again. It doesn't really need the magnet now that I know where my card is. I'll move it this way a fraction. There we go. And then just make sure you press everywhere. Now, the beauty of the Stamparatus is if you're using colored ink and you miss something, you can re-ink it and put it back. I'm not going to know if I missed anything because we're using Versamark. But the reason I wanted to use the Stamparatus was so I could line all this up. Plus, then you just get it on here once. Then I have clear embossing powder and white embossing powder because I've been on an embossing kick recently. So I'm going to use the white. We're using clear in the class. So it's kind of hard to see where it is, but if you hold it just to the light, or you can just cover your whole thing because we're going to put this back in the little tub anyways. So now you can see everything stamped once. Put this down here. And then give it a good flick to get anything off. So you don't waste it. Embossing powder will last forever if you haven't done any embossing. I'm going to need that butterfly again for my next card. So now you're going to heat this till it melts. So now it's melted and it's gone from being powder to being clear. So hopefully you all have embossed. I have several embossing videos, like I said, that have posted recently on my channel. So if you're interested in knowing more about it, then hop over and watch those there. Let's grab another piece of scrap paper. And then the other thing that we're using in my cabin class, so it's all right here on my table, are some blending brushes. Because we're doing a card that is a resist with that cabin. So I pulled out, of course, Blackberry, and it was already on my table from that other card. And then I went with Coastal Cabana and Pale Papaya. So I'm going to start with my lightest ink, which is Papaya. And you just ink these up, just rub your brush on here. Our blending brushes are fabulous. When we first got them, my daughter was here, and she said that she could just rub them on her face. So I'm just going to smear this over. Now you can see those colors are going to start popping out. So we have that, and I'm going to leave these open because I may go back and add some more. I'm just going to kind of do the same shading a little bit that the box has. Now the box, it looks like, has polished pink on it. That wasn't one of the colors on this that I chose. Coastal Cabana is one of my favorite colors. And you want to have just a little bit of blending between the two of those. And then I'm going to go back down here and just get the bottom of my butterfly. Now, if you want it to pop a little bit more, get a little bit more ink on your brush and do right around your images. So then that way the rest of it can kind of fade out. You do the same thing up here where it says Faith. Kind of blend that up into the papaya. So those look good. I might go back to the papaya again, but now I'm going to get the blackberry. And I just have, like, I have an orange one, I have a green one, I have a purple one, I have a blue one, a red one of my blending brushes. I don't wash them. I just will scrub these on the table until it goes the color I like. I like these nice dark inks because look at the variation of color you can get. I'm going to take a tad bit up here and get that. Now you're just going to take a tissue and just wipe some of this back off. And it also helps kind of blend those colors into each other again. It's one more way. Now my fingers might be a little bit dirty when I go to my next white card. So now we have this really pretty card. And then they have this little splatter stamp in here. Let's grab it. I was going to splatter it in one of the other colors, but I'm afraid that they won't show up over the top of the blackberry. The blackberry is such a strong color. It's beautiful, but it's strong. So you can see I can keep stamping off. So we've added that. so we've got this. Let's get our ribbon now. Get my blending brushes out of the way. Where'd I put that ribbon? Here it is. So I'm going to take it, and if you pull one of these right here in the middle, let's cut it about how long we need. I'm obviously not going to be decorating my box. There may be enough on here. So here's the thing. If you want to decorate your box, I would decorate your box first, and then that way you'll know how much ribbon you have left. You could obviously use one of our other ribbons because we have lots of ribbons that would work on this card. So grab one of these long ways here and just ruche it. And then I'm going to take my seal and put it all the way across the strip here where I left that nice wide gap for this beautiful ribbon. And so start here in the middle. And that way you can ruche it more, ruche it less. I'm just going to kind of go like that. And then obviously you'll need to cut the ends of it off. Don't want to cover up my word faith. Oh, come on. There we go. So now we have this fun card. Isn't that pretty? Here you have a little bit more adhesive. There we go. And you can kind of mess with that and get it to lay the way you want. The nice thing about this is when it goes in an envelope, for one, you didn't have to tie a bow. And I know some of y'all hate to tie a bow. So this eliminates that, but it also is one of those kind of ribbons that just travels really well in an envelope. So by the time somebody gets it in the mail, it's still good. So let's grab, I have some open dimensionals from my other class over here. Let's raise this up. I love to do white on white, especially now that we have made our white cardstock not be all the way white. Pull these off. And then you can see this is why I cut it. I knew that the design wasn't going to take up a full 4 by 5 1/4 sheet. So I did it a little bit under. That way we had a little bit more white and it kind of just brightens that back up. And it pops that white, the resist off. Let's grab these beautiful sequins. Don't you just love when we have a paper pumpkin and you're like, oh, I wish we could buy these? This is one of the, I wish I could buy these. So pretty. And there are different kind of shades in here, so I'm going to try to get all of them. Let's get a purpley one. There's kind of like a papaya, a purple, and a pink. So there's our first one. And I mean, obviously you can do this forever with your stamps. And we have other sequins if you run out. The champagne rhinestones would work well with this. And then we have other ribbons. If you still have some of that ribbon, it was in vanilla, so you'd want to do a vanilla card and clear, and then that way the resist would be in clear. So there's our first one. And then let's do our second one. Again, I'm just going to use the stamps. The cards are really pretty as is, and then that way you can just recreate those or switch those up a little bit or wait for somebody. I know several of my team members do these alternate videos as well, so there's always tons of good ideas. So for this one, I'm going to use black. I covered it up, it's right here. So I'm just going to use Memento, and let's go with the words that say, where there is faith, miracles happen. So I'm going to start with my long words. Make these up. I'm going to try to put the ribbon on here too, but in more of a traditional way. So I'm trying to think where to stamp it. Let's do the opposite on this one. Let's stamp these words down here. I love this font. And then there's a big butterfly and a little butterfly. So let's do the little one first, since I'm going to have to get my big one off the Stamparatus. There's the little one. I'm going to do another little one up there. And grab my big one off my block or my Stamparatus. This is why I opted to do them in the other order. Remember, I started to do this one first, but then I would have had to clean all this black off before I put it on my Versamark. And because I'm filming and I know myself, my cleaning sometimes when I film is not the best. And then I would have gotten that pretty white Versamark, which isn't as white as when they're new, but it would have gotten some black ink in it. And once it's like those Versamark pads, once they get a little bit of color on them, then they just start forever having more color. Now for this one, you could color it in a variation of ways. I pulled out my blends. So let's do a little bit of dark daffodil. I'm just going to use the bullet tip. And I'm not even going to blend. I'm just using them to color in. So you could use markers or you could use your blender pen and stamp pads, however you want to color them in. But once you have these, then of course you'll be able to color them forever. This time I'll use my brush tip and just kind of hit those. And then I have my blackberry, of course, because I want to use that ribbon, so I want it to still match. This is the dark. And these bullet tips do great when you need to color these small areas. So of course there's 1,000,001 ways to use a blender pen or a Stampin' blend. And I am not using it nearly to its advantage. Look at the blackberry all over my hands. I'm gonna have to go wash my hands before I can go back to my cabin class. So the nice thing is, because we have the light and the dark, I don't have to think about shading. I'm just doing a little bit of light and a little bit of dark. That gives you just a fraction of a difference in color. And then of course I have the papaya because that's kind of like my color at the moment. It's one of the new in colors. I can't remember that there has been a paper pumpkin that had papaya in it yet. They're still pretty new colors. So this is the dark. And then let's get the light. Okay, so now we have these. I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper, which keep moving on my scrap paper. And I want some speckles on this, but I don't want to use the stamp. You could, but since I have the blends out, I'm just going to go ahead and speckle it with my blends, and it'll be a little bit more fine than the speckle stamp. So just hit it a little bit with your bone folder, and then it gives you this great splatter effect, which I'm a huge fan of. I know sometimes when you have a video, lots of people will tell you what they didn't like on a card, and I know some of you don't like the splatter. I like it. It's especially good if you have ink on your hands and you end up getting, which so far I haven't, but if you get any little spots on your card, this can cover them right up. And now we've got all these fun colors on there. So let's go back to our ribbon. And I remember from when we had this ribbon before that it doesn't do, like the bows are just big. So I'm just going to do a loose knot. So just pull it around. And you want your knot to stay big, so don't pull it tight. So we'll do it like that. And then that way the knot matches the size of the ribbon. You can pull it tight if you want. It's just going to make a tiny little knot because this ribbon kind of collapses in on itself because it's that fun linen. So again, just put your adhesive here. And the nice thing is, if you don't like to tie bows, this you can kind of all get organized just how you like it, and you don't have to worry about the bow. And then just wrap these edges around. This will also use a little bit less ribbon than if you tie a traditional bow. And since it's a paper pumpkin and you can't buy this ribbon again, it's a nice way to save it. So let's get our dimensionals again. Pop them on the back of here. A lot of times when I do this, the two dimensionals go there. That just helps hold them on. those on. And then, as much as I want to use these beautiful rhinestones on here, and you could, because they're more than likely there's plenty of these, because you know when they give us our things there tends to be lots of them. But I do have, this is from my last class, some embellishments here. These are the in color rhinestones. I don't really like that color with them, so let's get a new pack of them. Here we go. And so this has the papaya, which actually has a yellow tinge to it because of the iridescence, which I think will work really pretty with this on our card. It's going to add 2 yellows. Then let's get the freesia, which we didn't add any freesia, but it's a fun purple with, and again with the iridescence, it kind of doesn't matter if it matches all the way. And you don't want to do an even number because then your eye's like, oh, I don't know where to look, so we need 1 more. So that's why I usually start with the colors that I know I want. The green's really calling to me, but I think I'm not. I should have pulled the polished pink into the butterfly in that way. Oh, I said and I wasn't, and then I did. See, it is calling to me. There we go. So here's 2 projects that once your kit's all said and done, you can go back and make with the fabulous fun stamps that are in there. So that's what I have for you for this paper pumpkin this month, and I will catch you back here later. If you're interested in any of my other videos, give my little subscribe button a push while you're here. Have a great one. Bye.